Innovation, imagination, wonder. These are just some of the words used to describe Dr. Harvey Passes. Dr. Passes explores interesting people and ideas that will stimulate you. He questions the people who develop, create, and employ novel concepts in business and everyday lives. He especially loves to speak with successful people. How did they do it? How can you do it too? So let's join Dr. Harvey Passes in his quest of wonder and curiosity as we watch Dr. Harvey Passes Presents.
I have something very interesting to show you. Today's show is going to be very touching. It's going to be very interesting. I think you're going to want to get a piece of paper and a pen because you're going to want to take some notes, because you're going to learn about something which is going to be very interesting. It will touch you. And in a moment, I'm going to show you an opening piece. And then from that opening piece, I'm going to introduce two very special people. And one person who has been literally giving the gift of life to 10,000 people across our planet. So, I'd like you to get a chance to see this piece right now. Stay tuned.
There are helpless children in remote areas around the world, praying that someone, somewhere, will hear their cries for help before their voices are lost forever. Gift of life. Because we are here, and because we hear, these small voices don't go unheard. There are 10,000 voices the gift of life has heard and has delivered life-saving open-heart surgery to. Not only saving lives.
You're now going to meet a man who is responsible for what you have just seen. And this man has literally touched my heart, and he has literally and figuratively touched so many other people's hearts throughout the world. And his name is Robbie Donno. First, let me introduce you to him. Robbie, great to see you again.
Thank you. And thank you for having us on here.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. And with what you have done, it should be sung from the rooftops. Let me tell my viewer at home exactly what it is that you've done that we should sing from the rooftops. Years ago, you'll hear more about the details shortly. Years ago, Robbie Donno got involved in helping to bring heart surgical procedures to children throughout the world. And I think now the number is 10,000, or it's exceeded 10,000. The number of people who his foundation, a not-for-profit foundation, I might add, has touched so many people to help them throughout the world. You're going to meet today the very first person who's Robbie's foundation helped to gain the gift of life. And you'll meet this very lovely, charming lady. Her name is Grace Agwaru, and she's from Uganda. And let's come back here right now. First, Grace, welcome. Welcome to America. Welcome to New York. Welcome to Long Island. Welcome. Okay, that's for another show. So it's great to see you both here. Let's talk a little bit. I already laid out what the gift of life has been doing in helping people with heart problems.
Right.
Yeah, but let's go back.
Okay.
You've been doing this how many years?
33 years.
33 years. Okay. You know, you're not an old guy. We're about the same age.
Right.
So you did this when you were a young guy.
Right.
Okay. What I want to know is, how did you get involved in this? Why did you do this? Why don't you just sit there and get involved in your business?
Well, I was involved in my business and growing the family, but at the same time, I had always been brought up to give back to the community. My father did, my mother did. We were always involved in helping other people. My father was a member of the Manhasset Rotary Club, and when he passed away, the members there invited me to take his place. Mm-hmm. I was 25 years old. Mm-hmm. I was 27 when I read a magazine article about children that were in need of medical assistance from Uganda through the Rotary. The Manhasset Rotary was connected in its history with the Rotary Club of Kampala. Mm-hmm. And so the children were from Kampala, and we had this idea of trying to help those children, and that was the basics of how we started. In corresponding with the Rotarians in Kampala, we ended up with Grace's case. They sent us the medical information on Grace and her need for, she had a congenital heart defect, mm-hmm. and for her need to have life-saving surgery. So we went about to try and now...
But wait a minute, why didn't you just get this done in Uganda, in Kampala?
Well, there's no facility in Uganda.
That's what I wanted to hear you say.
Yeah, there's no hope for these people. Even now, there's no hope for these people. So
and this is 33 years later.
33 years later, they are just now beginning to do some basic surgeries at the Malago Hospital in Kampala. And the sequence which we will develop through the show is to show you how bringing children here helps them there as well, because we're now doing more than just bringing kids here for surgery.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So, Grace, did you have any recollection of this? You were how old when the surgery was done?
I was just 5 years.
5 years old.
Yeah.
Okay. So you really can't remember much. Do you have any recollection at all?
I don't remember much, but I only mainly remember when I was here, I had many people come to visit me, you know, the love that I received from the people. Mm-hmm. And then I remember being at the hospital, and I had this chair that they used to stretch me out. But before I had my surgery, what I mainly remember is going to the hospital many times and having these checkups, you know. And my parents really loved me so much. They didn't tell me anything about the sad side of my life. They really gave me a lot of love. Mm-hmm. Yes.
I see. And the hospital that it was done, we should say where it was.
St. Francis
St.
Hospital.
Francis, the heart hospital.
The heart hospital.
Okay, that's great. How many different countries are you involved in right now?
We have brought children in from 64 different countries.
64 different countries. Right. That's incredible. That is just amazing.
The basis of this is the Rotary clubs. You know, the Rotary clubs. And
that's your foundation.
That's the foundation. That's how we reached out to all of these children to begin with, or they reached out to us, is through their local Rotary clubs. Rotary is like an army of people doing, you know, good things. It's in 170 countries. There's 1.3 million Rotarians throughout the world.
And they all meet in Manhasset for lunch.
No, they don't. Everybody has their own configuration. There's meeting in Moscow, meetings in Beijing and Manila and throughout, you know, Kampala and whatnot. And we all have the same goals, which is to do good things for our community and for our world. So we mix and match. You do community service projects and international projects. Gift of Life is an international project. Rotary throughout the world is largely responsible for the eradication of polio. We have inoculated 2 billion children.
That's incredible.
Raised $700 million to do this in conjunction with World Health and UNICEF. But we were the ones who delivered the inoculations. At the same time, Gift of Life is going on and hundreds of other different programs that provide for people in need, AIDS projects, operations for cleft palates, eyes, ears, all kinds of health-related programs, exchange programs, peace initiatives, all kinds of things. So Rotary is a vital part of our world community.
The Gift of Life International
Right.
is what it's called.
Right.
And by the way, I should mention that if you want to learn more about the organization, there will be a graphic later on that you could see, or anytime during the show it'll just pop up. But I'll just tell you, if you want to learn more, you go to www. and then it's spelled out, giftoflifeinternational.org, right? giftoflifeinternational.org, and you can learn more about it. Also, there's a phone number, and that's 516-504-0830, 516-504-0830. What other activities does the Gift of Life do? You said there are other programs you're involved with, or am I wrong?
No, the Gift of Life provides heart surgery for children. It's a peace initiative because basically what ends up happening, the heart is central, and not only to the life of the body, but in terms of being a spiritual organ. We bring children here that are hosted by American families, or they stay at the Ronald McDonald House, and they are provided the life-saving surgery. But in the process, they're living with a family. Somebody picks them up at the airport and gives them a teddy bear. We have ethnic Americans that are providing interpretive services. The healthcare professionals at Gift of Life hospitals donate their time. The hospitals underwrite some of the costs. So here you have this whole group of people focused in on what is central to all of us. The common denominator is the child. So on that basis, we cross all borders. There's no religious border, ethnic border, political border, and we have all kinds of people involved in it. Republicans and Democrats, red states and blue states. It doesn't matter.
Let's not get into that one right now.
All those things blend into helping the child.
Right.
When that child goes back home, and that parent goes back home, they talk about us. And in those discussions, they talk about all the personal kindnesses that were provided to them. And they never forget. That connection, that link is forever. And in that sense, we are building, not only saving the life in the child, but they become our best ambassadors for peace. If you ask a parent what surprised them most about coming to this country, it's how kind people were. In other countries, we're not the only country operating on children. We've operated on Pakistani children in India, Chechen children in Moscow, Palestinian children in Tel Aviv and Israel. So we cross all borders and all religions. And, Iraqi kids here, the children that came through the armed forces. So we have a whole cadre of people, thousands of people that have been involved in this. This isn't just me, but this is spread, and people have adopted this because they understand the value of a life.
How did you get? I understand you initiated this to begin with.
Right.
Okay. Like Johnny Appleseed, how did you get all these chapters around the world to become active to do this? The problem, as I see it, was not wanting to do it. That's a big enough problem. The bigger problem is distribution, so to speak.
It's kind of funny. If you ask people to do things, they'll do it. They'll respond. Everybody understands the need of the child and the bigger picture. When we were trying to help Grace, there was one child, just her, 5 years old, pretty, a beautiful child, as she is a beautiful woman. So that was our focus, but we learned something. And then that was the whole scope. Then there was a second child. Then there was a third child. And as we got publicity, then we got more requests. So my Manhasset Rotary Club and the members here in Manhasset needed to branch out to other Rotary clubs. When that got saturated in our district, 40-some-odd clubs in our whole district, then we started going to other districts through Rotary, going to other hospitals, formulating a means of doing this. So our process has always been, how do we reach that next child? Because beyond this, while we celebrate 10,000, there's a 10,000 first.
Right.
And there's a parent behind that child who is desperate as her father was, to ensure that their child is taken care of.
Now, all these procedures are done at St. Francis, or are they done throughout the world?
They're done throughout the world. Now, as we expanded, St. Francis was the first hospital. Right. Dr. Phil Balboni was the first cardiologist.
Let me show a picture of that. So he's the one.
And the nuns at St. Francis basically taught us how to do things.
Well, let's take. This was the original article.
This is the original article.
Okay, we're going to get some close-up here so we can get some shots from my cameraman here. So this is the article 33 years ago.
Right.
Look at you, huh?
Yeah, Raleigh fingers, mustache, and all.
All right. Okay, so see if you can either pan out or read the headline. What does it say here, Robbie?
Grace goes back to Uganda.
Okay, and on top, it says more.
With a hole in her heart repaired, Grace goes back to Uganda.
So what did she have, an atrial septal defect? You don't know. You don't know the medical part.
I don't know the medical part.
So she had a hole in the heart and it was repaired surgically.
Right. And this was her doctor.
And now this is the doctor. And now this is 33 years later. And there's Grace with the doctor, which is just, you can cry from this stuff.
Dr. Phil Balboni was a mentor.
Right.
Has given us the strategies, had laid out strategies even years ago, telling us that bringing the children here while helpful is like a Band-Aid, because there's so many children that are still left that need help.
Absolutely. Let's use this because obviously this was the most famous. I remember when this was done, like it was yesterday, and I didn't realize it was you who was actively involved in it. Here's a picture of Nancy Reagan, 1983, I believe. And check this out and explain what are we looking at here. See if you can get a close-up of that shot there.
This is basically a mural that exists that is hanging in the Reagan Museum, and the person to the left is Brett Halverson, who was Lee Kil-woo, the little guy to Mrs. Reagan's right. This is him 25 years later after having a reunion with Mrs. Reagan, and now he is working with us in Seattle, Washington, helping to promote the Gift of Life program.
Because I remember she brought in some children to have the surgery done. It was
Lee Kil-woo and An Ji-suk, who were both adopted here, so they're brother and sister living out in Seattle, and were brought here on Air Force One by President and Mrs. Reagan.
Fantastic. Tell us about this photo.
That was Grace. That was Grace and her dad. It's actually a double photo.
Yeah, I see it. Maybe just pick one of the pictures.
Grace and her dad after her operation. Grace's father was a very courageous man. In terms, when you talk about giving a gift of life, that gift is given both ways, both to the giver and the receiver. Because when he left, he had collapsed in my arms at the airport and was crying and kept on saying, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And when I left that day, and I stood outside when he got onto the airplane, Grace could have cared less. She was a 5-year-old.
The kid, did she know?
She was getting on an airplane.
Right.
I was heartbroken. I wasn't going to see her. You were a fresh kid. But that was a moving moment. When I went outside to digest it, I said, if you get run over by a truck today, your life has been worth living. Because you knew you made a difference in this man's life. You helped him. And we just were back there, and the welcome I got was just like we had left yesterday.
The reason why I'm interested in this is, number one, the altruistic part, I think is just the philanthropic part, I think is just terrific to help people. But the other thing is that, I have a little guy who had a hole in the heart. And when I heard about him having the hole in the heart, my wife and I, we were aghast. We had visions of what you went through. You went through open heart surgery.
Yes.
And today, for the most part, you don't have to do that anymore. Now it's done with a patch. I'm sure you've had many cases done with patches, which is just amazing. And my son had that done. And I know what the feeling is like. I know what it's like to be a parent and have the child undergo the procedure, and you're just biting your fingernails, waiting until the surgeon comes over to you and says, everything is okay.
Yeah.
Everything is going to be absolutely fine. It worked out better than we expected, and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's an amazing thing. But carrying it more so to people who don't have the wherewithal to make use of this technology, to make use of all of the great things that other countries do have. And for you to do this through the Gift of Life International, I think is just an incredible, courageous, wonderful, loving thing to do.
We have a lot of help.
Well, you have to.
And, you know, it comes from all different places. We just went to Uganda with a medical team from Montefiore Hospital. We were screening children.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you if there are other hospitals involved in this.
Sure. We have about 70 hospitals worldwide that operate on children for the Gift of Life.
What about locally? You got St. Francis. I'm sure it's Montefiore is another one.
Montefiore Children's Hospital, Schneider's Children's Hospital, Westchester Medical Center, NYU.
Oh, boy.
Beth Israel in Newark, Robert Wood Johnson, you know, I can name them across the country. Riley's in Indiana, Loma Linda. So we have a lot. We have a lot of hospitals and doctors, and they all work on the same basis, helping to underwrite this program. They are full partners in this.
That's fabulous.
So you know.
So we should have a conversation to talk about doing this in dentistry.
Okay.
Helping people, you know.
There are Rotary has programs that send dentists over. So Rotary does all of that. So we have focused on the Gift of Life to get that done. Other Rotarians have their niche that they
Gift of a Smile.
Gift of Smile.
Rotoplast.
Even locally, our Rotary clubs on Long Island started a program called Rotocare, where we provide indigent people, poor people with medical assistance over in West Hempstead. We have a clinic with doctors and nurses, and we do all of those things. So Rotary is the platform, and then we pick out things where we have a passion for it to help people. Oddly enough, we did when I saw Grace, and I want to show this.
Let me hold it up.
I visited Grace 3 years ago and watched her helping the people in her community. And her development, and it was, a learning curve for us, because we never thought past, helping them, and how we impacted is in her community. And I envisioned her as a raindrop that hits a pond, where the ripples go out endlessly through their lifetime, impacting people, because she has been a help to her own community. So we now have a raindrop campaign going on.
There's the raindrops with kids in it.
Right, with kids in it.
So
we have a raindrop campaign now where we've...
Explain the raindrop. Okay, thanks a lot.
These are the raindrops.
Yeah, let me hold them up.
Okay, that store owners, it's being hosted by and sponsored by the Manhasset Chamber of Commerce in honor of the 10,000th child, where you sell them for a minimum contribution of $1, and somebody will sign their name in the middle, and the store owners hang them up in their windows as a decorative piece, so that the
with the signature in the window, so people can see
of all the
who's
support.
Donated.
So when Jonathan Olunga, who is the 10,000th child, receives his operation this Wednesday at Montefiore, he's here now. After he recovers, we hope to bring him back to Manhasset, put him on a fire truck, have him drive down Plandome Road, have people come out with their store windows decorated as a means of support, and show him how important he is.
Where's he from?
He's from Uganda.
Is he from your village, from your town?
No, he's from Kampala, the capital city.
Okay. What town are you from?
Soroti.
Soroti.
Yes.
Okay. Is that far from Kampala?
Yes, about four hours.
By foot or by car?
By car.
Can't tell.
It's a distance.
The distance is right. So then, does he have any idea what's going on with the? How old is he?
He's 11 years old.
Okay.
Very smart boy. He wants to be a doctor. He's facing, he's scared. Obviously, a new country. We went to Uganda with the doctors and with Jamie and Violet Mazzi of New Best. They are hosting Jonathan and his mother while he's here. He's staying in their home. They're taking them to the hospital. They're taking care of their personal needs. They went to Uganda with us also and experienced Grace's home, our second child's home, who is now working at the Uganda Heart Institute, Rabina. So they have got the whole experience from picking Jonathan up at his home and bringing him here to the United States. And Jamie and Violet are absolutely lovely people. We've taken films that we'll share with you after the operation, and hopefully we'll be successful. And all of this is meant to spread the word about what we're doing, and so we can reach more children.
Well, I don't want to get into money and finances,
Right.
but basically it's done through donation.
Right.
Donation of either money or donation of services.
Right.
I see. And
The doctors are donating, so that's
services.
an in-kind service. The hospitals are donating, that's an in-kind service. A variety of people do this, and now we go to another phase where actually part of what we were doing in Uganda is setting up with the Ugandan healthcare professionals there who are involved in cardiac and want to develop their own program, teams to come from the United States, which will be sponsored through donations by the Gift of Life, to go there and work with the healthcare professionals and start operating on children there and teaching and getting others and collaborative efforts with other nonprofits that we've done elsewhere to build the pediatric heart center there to treat children from the region. When we left, there were 350 children just from Uganda on a waiting list.
That was one of my questions. We've got 3 minutes left.
Okay.
In those 3 minutes left right now, in about 20, 30 seconds, a minute max, what comments do you want to make about what you've been doing, what you are doing, and letting people know?
Well, we're going to be doing a lot of fundraising. Grace is a great spokesperson. We're going to be going to the UN for Rotary Day at the UN. We're going to involve foundations and individuals that can support us. We do this because when we're there, you look into the faces of the children that need help and their parents. You know that you have certain assets that you can apply to their help. And you always remember, and the reason that we do these shows and reach out to people is you always remember those faces, because that next one is not their child, it's our child. And I know how I would feel if I were the next one at that doorstep. What about my child?
That's right.
And how can we reach that child? The other thing is we can't point fingers in this world about all the things that are wrong with this world or our country unless we point the finger back to us first. If you want world peace, you have to work for world peace. It starts here, and each of us can have an impact. 10,000 children times all the people that we've touched is an impact.
No, it's absolutely.
I can't believe, and I've been involved in this, how much has been accomplished. And my feeling is it's been worth the trip. It's been worth
something? It's been worth it for me to have you down here.
Thank you very much.
Just terrific. We got about 30 seconds left. Grace Aguaru, thank you very much for coming down. I wish you lots of good luck for your own health and for helping other people who are in your circumstance as well. And Robbie Donno, I got to tell you, again, put it there. I'm very impressed. Very impressed with you. I respect you, and I respect what you've done. You're just a terrific human being.
Thanks.
Thank you very much for
Thank you.
Helping people. I think this is just terrific. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got a lot out of it. I certainly did. And you happen to be going down the streets, and you're in Manhasset, and you see the Give a Life campaign, and what was the name of it called? The Raindrop?
Raindrops.
Raindrops. Support it. This way you can help other people have the gift of life. Dr. Pass is saying now, just like these wonderful people, whatever you do, do it with passion. See you again next time. Take care. Again.
Thanks.